Morning. Welcome to another episode of Tie 24 Sports. Yeah, you heard it. Tie 24 Sports. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at Tie 24 Sports. But let's start with the picks. And also remember to donate. You see that the Cash App, $ TY Rebel 22. So for the NFL today on week 15, we're gonna start off with our picks. I like the Cincinnati Bengals minus 5.5. I like New Orleans plus 10.5. I like the Ravens minus 9.5. I like Dallas to beat Carolina money line. I got the Jets money line. I got Miami money line on the road. I also have the Colts plus 7.5. The Lions money line in the big time matchup against Buffalo. I'm taking the home team, the Lions. Then we got another big time, maybe a preview of the Super Bowl. We got Philly versus Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go on the side of the coaching. I'm not picking them to win, but I'm gonna take Pittsburgh plus 7.5, so they won't lose by more than a touchdown. Then we got Arizona minus 2.5. I think they'll get it together. And a close one with the BUCS and the Chargers. I like the BUCS plus 7.5, so they'll keep it close within a touchdown. Then we got Green Bay on the Sunday night game against my guy Geno Smith. I hate to go against Geno. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm gonna go with the Packers money line in a close one. So let's see if the Seahawks can do like how they've been doing earlier in the year and win against good teams. I know they can beat the bad teams, but can they get a ninth win against a good team in the Green Bay Packers? So that's gonna be my NFL picks for the day. Now, in case I don't come on throughout the week, because I'm working in different things. College football bowls. So these are the week bowls. So on Tuesday, I like Memphis minus 4.5. You also got to take a look at the transfer portal and look at who's opting out and sitting out of bowls. But no excuses. If you lose, you're gonna take that L, and if you win, you're gonna take that W, baby. All right. So Wednesday, I like Western Kentucky plus 7.5, and I like UNLV money line. On Thursday, I like Sam Houston to get the upset money line. And on Friday, I like Jacksonville State money line. And though I think Florida will beat Tulane, not by more than 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to take Tulane plus 14.5. So that's all of my bowl games for the week coming up. So you can pause it, or you can put it up, put those tickets in early if you're feeling froggy. And then also for today, in college basketball, I only saw one I liked, which was Temple. Temple's playing Hofstra. Hofstra's gonna have to prove themselves to me. I like Temple plus 1.5. You really can do maybe plus 2.5. I don't really think they're gonna lose. You may go with the money line. It's on you. Okay, now we got the Pacers starting off with the NBA minus 6.5. We got the Celtics minus 12.5. The Magic money line and the Timberwolves, Minnesota Timberwolves, the minus 2.5. So that's going to be my picks for today. I'll rotate and go back through them as we go through the show. Now let's go over to Instagram. You see on the side of me on the screen. So as you guys saw, even though he wasn't up for the Heisman, Shador was there along with Lil Wayne, Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders, everybody there to support Travis Hunter of Colorado for their Heisman winner, the first one in a long time. I think that's the second overall Heisman they've had at Colorado. So shout out to Deion Sanders. He's now coached a 9-win, which should have been a 10-win team, but they were feeling themselves in the second to last week, I think week 13 or whatever of the season. So they took an L, but they won in a blowout fashion 2 weeks ago. So they're 9-3. And if they win the bowl game, that'll be a 10-win team and a Heisman Trophy winner for Deion. So I don't want to hear anybody say Coach Prime can't coach anymore. He's won in Texas in high school. He's won in the FCS level at Jackson State. They just won that bowl game, Independence Bowl, yesterday. So Jackson State is still rolling based off of what Deion did before he left. But as you see, it says rumors that Shador Sanders will refuse to play for the Giants or the Browns is not true, according to Deion Sanders. He was quoted as saying, "Please stop trying to become relevant by misrepresenting my son. God bless you." Now, I did hear a lot of us heard him alluding to him not wanting his son or Travis to go to certain quote-unquote bad organizations, and these are definitely bad organizations. So I don't know if this is a backtrack or maybe this is a misunderstanding, but hey, it's great content. Nevertheless, it's not a real scandal. This isn't anything like those scandals where they were straight up lying on Coach Prime earlier in the year. But let's see what the fans had to say. The first person said, hate this new era of refuse to play like you get drafted where you get drafted. Yeah, but it's not really that new. John Elway did it in the 80s. He actually went and played baseball, I think, and went into the USFL. I think Steve Young did this in the 80s. It actually was more prevalent back then. Then it kind of went away. And then Eli Manning, your boy Eli Manning, Ole Miss, he did it in the 2000s. So it's been done before. It's just not that prevalent. Okay, somebody else says Dion definitely gonna want him in a big market like New York, so he can build up his brand and get all those endorsements. I don't know. You know, a lot of Florida people, they don't really believe in the whole New York bias or whatever. Feel like they can shine anywhere. Now, speaking of New York and Florida, Cam Ward is more welcoming to it. Cam Ward on potentially playing for the Giants. He was quoted, I guess, around Heisman weekend. He said, if Joe wants me, he knows best. He's saying Joe Schoen. I don't know how you say the guy's name. Joe Schoen. I'm not sure. Somebody correct me. Schoen or whatever. But it says the tape says it all. You'll get a competitor out of me, New York. I'll stay in New Jersey all day, every day. So that the facility in the stadium is actually in New Jersey because I guess there's not a lot of space for another stadium in New York. They got Yankee Stadium, I think the Met Stadium, but for whatever reason, the football team is over in New Jersey. But it's the New York Giants and Jets. But anyway, it goes on to say, it's too much out here. I'll just focus on making football plays for the Giants. Now, believe it or not, I think what he's shown being focused in Miami this year, even though he's a bragger and a big talker, he hasn't really been out. His teammates have, and maybe that's why the defense is the way it is. But Cam Ward has an ability to focus in chaos. So he would do very well in New York like an Eli or like Phil Simms. It takes a special type of monster to play quarterback in New York. Maybe that's why you've seen so many distractions over the years. I mean, it hasn't been a lot of great quarterbacks in the city of New York since Joe Namath or Phil Simms. You know, they had little short stints with I can't even think of the guy's name. He used to play for the Panthers also. I'm gonna try to think of the guy named. I know he wore number 5, but they had a quarterback that took them to the Super Bowl in the year 2000, even though they got blowed out against the Ray Lewis Ravens. I'm gonna try to find this guy's name because I'm usually a football savant. New York Giants 2000. I want to see their roster, see who their quarterback was. Just give me 1 second. I know he was number 5, a white guy, tall white guy. He also resurged his career with the Panthers a little bit after that. Okay, yeah, Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins was pretty decent. Of course, they had Eli, but then it's been the Daniel Jones thing. It's been quarterback that's failed. A lot of people feel like the guy from USC, Sanchez, would have done better if he didn't go to the Jets. Look at Geno when he left the Jets. So New York is a different monster. Now, as far as Travis Hunter, he won the Heisman, so a big round of applause to Travis Hunter. And then, like we were speaking of Jameis Winston in the Browns earlier, it says that the Browns quarterback the Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is expected to remain with the team in 2025. So let's see what the fans have to say. I don't know, because if they saying some derogatory things, I'm not going to read that. So it says, okay, the Browns have been eliminated from the 2025 playoffs. Oh, they going hard on the man. Then they say the most expensive backup in the league. So a lot of people aren't feeling Deshaun Watson, but we just reading the comment section, seeing what it says. Okay, now it says NFL executives describe Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts. Shout out to those Gators, Florida Gator legend Kyle Pitts, as one of the biggest disappointments I've ever scouted. He told Bob McGinn. He also says that Pitts is just going through the motions and seems almost disinterested. One of the biggest disappointments I've ever scouted. Some flashes, but rarely regularly involved in the offense. Seems to go through the motions, almost disinterested. Definitely a bust based on expectation and who they passed up. Okay, so you see Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, all of these guys are playing in the bowl game. And it's becoming more of a trend. They're saying it's not affecting your draft boards. Yes, it will. See, when everybody does it, it won't affect it. But when we have some kids in class that do extra credit and then you just do the bare minimum, that's how you get your A's and your A pluses. NFL teams are going to start going rewind. And just America and the world in general, we're going more for tougher guys because, you can only be soft so long until the cookie's going to crumble. But long story short, Kyle Pitts, if I'm not mistaken, sat out the bowl game. That should have showed you a sign. Because when people talk about talent, athleticism, intelligence, you have to remember this is an effort sport. Your physical ability is only going to last probably your first 5 years in the league anyway. And then if you stay in your 30s and 35, 36, that's the smart guys last in the NFL. The athletic guys make it to the NFL. So I think, and not just smart, but also tough. I think when you got guys that sitting out bowl games, guys that are lagging on certain plays, and you're talking to coaches and they're telling you, yeah, he's a great athlete, but he's not motivated. I'm not saying that I agree with everything on Kyle Pitts, but maybe you teams and a lot of you fans have to stop just looking at the talent and look at the production. Stop looking at who you think they're going to be and look at who they are or the effort they've put forth. But let's look at the comment section. It says, if he goes to any team with a competent quarterback, he's the top 3 tight end in the league. That's false. That's false, man. It's a lot of guys that do a lot with a little, especially when tight ends. I can see a wide receiver, but a tight end, usually when the quarterback is average to below average, and Kirk Cousins is above average. A bad quarterback's best friend is a running game and a tight end. Even Michael Vick, at his worst, when he was with the Falcons, Archie Crumpler always got the ball. When you think of Jay Fiedler with the Dolphins, Randy McMichael always got the ball. So, you look left, you look right. Tight ends right there in the middle. They get covered by a linebacker, safety. Those aren't the best cover guys. Tight ends are usually a safety net. I don't want to hear that. One year, Alex Smith and the Chiefs, before Mahomes got big, you don't remember that year when no wide receivers caught any touchdowns until I think the last 2 weeks of the season? But all the touchdowns were to backs and tight ends. Tight ends is always somebody that's going to eat, unless they're just horrible. I mean, look at Jonnu Smith with Tua. That's why they got rid of Odell Beckham, which I'm still kind of disappointed. I feel like he could be a piece. He doesn't have to be a superstar, but he could be a piece, but he's had some drops and drops and drops this year. But I don't know about cutting a guy this late in the season, but that's another discussion. But Jonnu Smith has turned out to be a star. He's from Miami. He went to FIU. Well, he's from Central Florida, but he calls Miami home now. Florida is Florida. So basically, he came back home and he's shining. Florida boy shining. He's getting it in. I think the Dolphins and the BUCS in Jacksonville been doing it, but the Dolphins need to get more local guys. Florida State, Miami, Florida, South Florida, FIU, whatever. Even guys that went to Louisville, but they're from Florida. Shout out to Coach Walker. I played for a guy named Coach Walker in high school. He was the offensive coordinator, but his son, Anthony Walker, playing for the Dolphins, he's doing good things. So some of these local talented guys could definitely show out the way Anthony Walker and Jonnu Smith are doing. Okay, it says, no way y'all are still blaming quarterback play. At some point, you need to take a deeper look. See, that's what I'm agreeing with. Don't just blame the quarterback. I'd be disinterested if my quarterback was Kirk Cousins in 2024. That's crazy to me. Let me look up Kirk Cousins' stats because I know the Falcons have been a decent team, but the BUCS actually caught them in the division race. But Kirk Cousins, as far as I know, I haven't watched any Falcons lately, but I was watching them earlier in the season. And stats don't tell the whole story because sometimes, they can be mixed up. Okay, so last game, Kirk Cousins threw 2 interceptions, but he threw for 344. So even if he threw those interceptions, where was Kyle Pitts in that 344? The game before, 4 interceptions to 245. So he's throwing interceptions and he's not throwing any touchdowns. He has not thrown a touchdown since November 3rd. Last 4 games, no touchdowns. He's thrown 2 picks, 4 picks, 1 pick, 1 pick. So that's a lot of picks. But he's thrown for 344, 245, 173, and 306. So he's throwing for about 300 yards a game, or 250, give or take. Kyle Pitts, you can at least get 50, 60 of those yards. So I don't know, you can't go with that. So he's thrown for 196 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 15 picks. If you take away this last month, though, where he threw those 8 picks this last month, prior to that, he had thrown 17 touchdowns and 7 picks, which that's still not great. But Kirk Cousins, he's going through a slump right now. I don't know if that's an injury or something because he didn't start off the season like that. I mean, October 3rd against the BUCS, he threw 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 509 yards. So I think people are being a prisoner of the moment. And Kyle Pitts has been in the league since 2021. Kirk Cousins has only been his quarterback for about 12 or 13 games. So what did he do in 21, 22, 23? You can't blame it on me, and I only been with you for half a season, or we could say more than a half a season at this point. But let's move on. Okay, they're saying Aaron Glenn is really interested in the Jets head coaching job. So this would be another black head coach. He's the D-back. Maybe he's even the defensive coordinator now for the Lions. I would hate to see it for the Lions because I like the Lions. They're interesting, comeback story. But Aaron Glenn was a big time corner for the Texans and the Jets back in the day in my childhood. So shout out to him. He was great on Madden back in the day. It says the Jets are gonna understand Ben John. The Jets gotta understand. Improper grammar when you read the comments. So it says Jets fans gotta understand Ben Johnson don't want y'all the same way you want him. Okay, whatever. And then it says probably won't even interview him. And yeah, that's another thing. That's why they have that Rooney Rule, because a lot of black coaches don't get interviews. See, speaking of it right there, it says Rooney Rule, so he will. Then it says the Jets been in the news a lot lately for a 3-10 team. Yeah, that's the Aaron Rodgers effect. Tell him bring Ben Johnson. It is what it is. I'm not a Jets lover, so it doesn't really affect me one way or another. I hope they get the worst coach out there. Now it says that former Titans coach Mike Vrabel is seen as a prime coaching candidate in the upcoming coaching cycle. The Cowboys and the Raiders would be considered as potential landing spots. I like Vrabel maybe for the Cowboys, but I think it would actually be a downgrade because like a lateral move. I don't think he gonna win the Super Bowl, but I do think he would be better than Mike McCarthy because he went from New England. He would know how to deal with Jerry Jones, but deal with the players. See, the players have a nasty habit in Dallas of going around the head coach because they know Jerry Jones will give them their way, and that's why they lose so much. Whatever. Same thing with the Kyle Pitts thing, the discipline, the love for the game, the focus, because you don't have a hard-nosed coach keeping you locked in. But I think a former player and a guy that came from New England that understands protocol, and he can have his power cut down from the owner, but still keep those players in check because he once was a player and a leader, so he understands the hierarchy. I think he will be a better coach to work for Jerry Jones because he can keep those players in check at the same time get checked by Jerry Jones and not let it be a shot to his ego. I think a lot of these coaches that coach for Jerry Jones, they're incapable of leading because it's almost like when you have your mom and your dad, and your mom tells you one thing, your dad tells you another. It's like one of the parents aren't going to be able to parent because it's like you kind of like undercutting my authority, and that's what I feel like Jerry Jones does to coaches at times. But I think Mike Vrabel will be a special animal where he may be able to get the most out of that defense and out of that team because of his ability to communicate from a player's perspective. Because if you're a quarterback, a linebacker, you might lead the team, but you still answer to the head coach, the coordinators. And I think in New England, it was always a locker room first thing. I think anybody from that New England background may do better with Jerry Jones because he lingers over the head coach so much. Okay, in the comment section, it says, let's hire a fired NFL coach with no playoff win since 2019. They act like that since 2009. 2019 was a couple of years ago. He just got fired last year. So what do you people? I'm reading the comments, but just understand, social media is a joke. A lot of these guys that are in these comment sections. Okay, the next comment says, don't know what the Titans were doing moving on from him. Agreed. So one person saying, and you see how they were slick in the first comment, NFL fired coach with no playoff win since 2019. That's glass half full, glass half empty. That means he did have a playoff win in 2019 because don't forget with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, they went all the way to the AFC Championship and were blowing out the Chiefs, and the Chiefs had to come back. No, or maybe they went to I don't know. I think they went to the AFC Championship or the divisional round. All I know is they had the Chiefs down on the road. So the Titans in the Derrick Henry era, no, they didn't win a Super Bowl, but they did some big things, man. They did some big things. I like the Titans under Vrabel. I was kind of surprised by that firing. So a lot of people with these opinions, it is what it is. But that's gonna be the show for the day. So you see the NFL picks. Got Cincinnati minus 5.5, New Orleans plus 10.5, Ravens minus 9.5, Dallas money line, Jets money line, Dolphins money line, Colts plus 7.5, Lions plus 7.5. No, Lions money line. Sorry, gotta slow down. Steelers plus 7.5. Cardinals minus 2.5. Tampa Bay Bucks plus 7.5, and Green Bay money line. For college basketball, only game I got for you today is Temple plus 1.5, our go money line. NBA, we got the Pacers minus 6.5. I'm gonna let it come up. So Pacers minus 6.5, Celtics minus 12.5, Magic money line, and Minnesota Timberwolves minus 2.5. Matter of fact, I said the show was over, but I lied. I want to look at one more thing. Let me see if I can see what's going on with the transfer portal, because there's so much news going on, because I didn't do a college football show yesterday. So I might have to start coming on more often. I want to check on the transfer portal just really quick, if you guys give me a chance. I want to check on the transfer portal. I apologize. Fumbling over my words like some of you guys running backs fumbling the ball. Okay, so former Georgia cornerback Jalen Humphrey has committed to Texas A&M. So he's 6'2", 195. He started 10 games for the Bulldogs this season, had 21 tackles, 5 pass deflected. He's the number 2 cornerback in the transfer portal. So he's saying, be quiet. He don't want to hear what you got to say. Then we got Landon Watson. He went from TCU to Marshall. Now he's going to Kentucky. So Watson is a redshirt junior. He's a former TCU transfer. He had 66 tackles and an interception this year. Let's see what they're saying in the comment section about this guy. Kentucky getting a MAC player now. Laugh my behind off, because we're not gonna curse. Trash a program. We're gonna whoop them next year as well. L's up. Okay, so that's a Louisville fan with that L's up. I hope y'all don't take an L. Okay. Now this was kind of interesting. We got a guy, Kane Odu. He's from Army. He's the running back from Army, 6 foot 218, had 179 carries for 1,117 yards and 10 touchdowns with 2 years left of eligibility. He's hitting the transfer portal, but you're in the Army, so how is he going to transfer? Like it says right there, Army players are allowed to unlist. That's what I thought. I thought once you're in the Army, you in it. So I don't know how that's going to work. It says if they make it past their sophomore year, military service is mandatory. So he's in his sophomore year. So I guess he doesn't want to serve in the military. I don't know. They're not enlisted. Okay, I didn't know that. So Army players can actually leave. Okay, that's interesting. Cause see, with this transfer portal thing, I mean, cause I like the military. I'm a very patriotic guy. Cause I understand about communism and third world countries and stuff like that. So I appreciate being American. I don't necessarily want to go enlist, but I think it would be a great experience for a young man to go play 2 years in the Army or the Navy or whatever. But yeah, you do have to do active duty. I think 3 years of active duty. So I didn't know it was after your sophomore year if you stay for more than 2 years. So that's interesting. It says you're not actually enlisted until you graduate from the service academy and are a commissioned officer. It says you're just considered a officer trainee at the academies. Okay. Well, I still think it's kind of frowned upon to leave a military academy unless you're going to another one. Like if he was going from Army to Navy, but then that would be like a Benedict Arnold. That's like going from Miami to Florida State, which we've seen that done. But that's gonna be my show for the day. Go put those picks in. Oh yeah, also the bowl games for this week. Remember, I got on Tuesday we got Memphis minus 4.5. Western Kentucky on Wednesday plus 7.5, and UNLV money line on Wednesday. On Thursday, we got Sam Houston getting it done on the money line. And then on Friday, I like Jacksonville State money line over Ohio. And then I like Tulane plus 14.5 losing to Florida, but just not by more than 2 touchdowns. So that's going to be the show for the day. Put in those picks.